questions. So, I promise you that's not my hair. At approximately 10:46 p.m., a call was received at Racine County Dispatch regarding a civil dispute between a man and a woman. The woman had been put out of her house and their 2 children remained inside. Prior to police arrival at about 10:51 p.m., a male age 26 stepped outside of the house, fired several shots into the air, then went back inside. Arriving officers were advised by the female victim that the subject had access to weapons and he had indeed fired into the air. Officers established a perimeter around the 2900 at a house around the 29 block of Gillen Street and attempted to make contact with the subject. While speaking with the female victim, officers were advised that the subject had talked about suicide earlier in the day. Our officers made several attempts to establish contact with the subject, including voice commands, at the door, by telephone, and by using the squad public address system. At approximately 11:51 p.m., while attempting to establish contact at the back door, a 3-year-old female appeared and she was escorted safely away to her mother. Shortly afterwards, the subject presented himself at the back door and threatened to shoot officers. At that point, officers were able to visually confirm that he was armed with some type of long gun. At approximately 12:51 a.m., the subject fired multiple shots out of the window with what appeared to be a shotgun at Sergeant Tom DeBaker, Sergeant Joe Berenda, Officer Dan Wasman, and Officer Ben Iden. Officers returned fire with patrol rifles and a handgun. The subject was not struck. Officer Iden sustained facial injuries, and Sergeant Berenda sustained a shoulder injury. It's believed that the injuries were the result of birdshot pellets. The officers stayed on the scene despite their injuries. They stayed despite their injuries. SWAT and crisis negotiation team members had been activated, and they were en route when the shots were fired. At approximately 1:05, the subject reappeared at the back of the house unarmed. He engaged officers in conversation and surrendered at approximately 1:22 hours. The subject was taken into custody, and he sustained superficial injuries. He was transported to a local hospital for medical evaluation and treatment before being transferred to the Racine County Jail. Criminal charges are pending for multiple counts of attempted homicide, recklessly endangering safety, domestic violence, and disorderly conduct. Sergeant Berenda and Officer Iden were transported to a local hospital for evaluation and treatment. Their injuries are non-life-threatening, but they have had to sustain some minor surgeries. Sergeant Berenda has served over 10 years. Sergeant DeBaker has served for over 8 years. Officer Wasman has served for over 3 years. And Ben Iden for 1 year. So you can imagine this investigation is still fresh. I haven't seen any body-worn camera footage. I haven't spoke with them about the incident. I spoke with them about their health. So in finishing, these officers worked through 2 waves of COVID. Civil unrest, personnel shortages, canceled off days, and forced overtime without a contract for 2 years. They show up every day to protect the citizens here. And I can't thank them enough for their dedication and their perseverance. I'll take 3 questions.
Can you talk a little bit about staffing and what impact that's had on the department?
I just did.
But can you explain what the situation was with staffing?
At this point, we are down over 20 officers,
And what about next month?
probably another 5.
And what's your message about public safety moving forward, being short those officers?
We have reevaluated how we deliver those services, and we will continue to deliver those critical services. Some of the minor things we'll have to handle in a different way with online reporting or in person at the PD, and some things our customer service officers will handle. But for those critical things, these same officers will be there.
Chief, you got emotional when you discussed that they stayed on the scene despite their injuries. Where's your emotion come from? Is it the fact that they're hurt or how proud you are of them?
Both.
Because of the things you mentioned?
Both. To sustain a gunshot wound and stay on the scene, that's courage. That's dedication. Not only for the citizens here, but the other people out there on that scene. That's why they stayed. And,
How's the family doing? The female and the children?
they're all doing fine. They were not injured, and the officers' families are doing well. I spoke with both officers and their wives before they left for the hospital and while they were at the hospital. And I couldn't be any more proud to be their chief. Thank you.